This is the Success Through Community podcast.
I am so excited about this episode because for the first time ever, you and I actually read the same book.
I know. So, we're going to know what each other is talking about for one.
I know, and not be, well, I hope we still have questions, but, I think for me, because we've toyed with the idea of doing this from the beginning, but never did it until now, I'm excited because this one just ended up on both of our TBR lists for this season. And once we kind of clued in that we each wanted to read it, we thought, well, let's finally both read the same book. Why would one of us put this down?
Yeah.
So I'm excited. You know what I'm more excited about?
What?
Is I truly think that you and I are going to have two different takes on this. I really think that I do. I really do. Because I find that you and I are so, I don't want to say so opposite, but we are different in so many ways.
True.
And I think that's why we connect so well is, opposites attract, yin and yang, that whole, the force of nature, all of that thing. And I do think that we might find that with this book, personally.
I'm curious to find out. It'll be interesting. To be honest and to be fair, I finished this book a very long time ago. And then life happened and we just did not get a chance to connect. But this is the first book that I have taken notes with the intention of using the notes for the episode. Because typically when I read these books, I'm just taking notes for myself because I'm like, oh, that's really good, But then I have so many notes that they're kind of unusable for the purposes of recording. You know what I mean? They're helpful for me, to go back and look at it, but to be like, what was it I was going to talk about? Not helpful. In this case, I literally took my notes with this in mind. I think because we were both reading the same book. And so I thought, if I don't prepare for this in that way, this is going to be a 3-hour episode otherwise. And so I think my brain was like, okay, I'm just going to, be more intentional about how I write my notes so that I have specific things to write about. So, I'm glad for that. But also I feel like, to your point, there are probably going to be things that you made notes about that I don't totally remember because I finished it so long ago and it didn't make it on my list for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I agree with that.
I think for me too, it was the same thing. This book, we both had the hard copy, which again is another, oh my goodness, for us,
thing.
right? We usually do the audio. But for me, this one, for me, it's sticky tabs. Sticky tabs everywhere in this book. There's probably a minimum of 100, 150 of them. And then copious amounts of notes in the margin areas. From everything heck yes to, I don't think so.
Yes. Love it.
This book has been well loved. So
it's the Velveteen book.
It really is. It really is. We have yet to say the book, which I love, right? So
did we talk about the book or in an early? I think we teased it maybe, or maybe we just teased that we were reading the same book.
I think we talked about reading the same book.
Put them out of their misery. What is it about? What is
it? Drum roll, please. Okay, it's not that great of a book, but words are hard today. The Introvert Entrepreneur by Beth Buelow. Did I say that right? Buelow?
I think so. That's how I say her name.
So whether our listeners or yourself consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert or somewhere in the very messy middle, which is basically where I am all the time, I think that this book, there's so much for everybody. But what I want to start off with for this episode is basically I want to know why this book? Why now? Why did this book end up on your TBR? For me, it felt personal. For me, I know if you've listening to the podcast for a while and you know because you've been talking to me forever, this book for me, which shouldn't be a surprise by anyone, because last season I read 2 books about A Quiet Life and The Soul Source Entrepreneur and all about just kind of toning it down. This one just felt like the next natural step for me, that I'm now claiming my introvert self and giving her space, I guess, in what everybody calls it now. But that's why I chose this book. It just felt like the next best thing in my journey. So I'm curious, what drew you to this one? Why did this one end up on your TBR for the season?
So before I answer that question, I do have to tell you, because I was just looking at it the other day and I found it very interesting and you just mentioned it. And so it brought it back to my mind. Do you know that The Quiet Life is our most listened to episode?
Really?
Yeah, which
I
totally surprised me because I'm like, we have Mel Robbins books.
yeah.
How did The Quiet Life become the most you know what I'm saying? Like, it kind of makes me feel like I doubt that it's so much about the book, no offense to Susan or anything, but just I think it's more just the concept of it that people are
Yeah,
craving. And so I
I think
think
so.
that's why it draws the attention. But I saw that the other day and I was like, like, I just did not expect that at all.
I love that. I love that. So I'm gonna have to go
Yeah,
listen to it again because I love
I
that. I
know.
just
I don't even
actually,
remember if it's a good episode, to be honest. Like,
oh, it's a good book. I actually just picked up the book she wrote before that one, just called Quiet. I just
oh,
picked it up last week at a really big book sale I was a part of, and I'm very excited to read it.
well,
So
maybe we'll
maybe
have to
that
do
one
a follow up.
will be a natural follow-up for sure.
Yeah.
Backwards, but
Yeah,
it's me, messy. That's how it works. I love
Okay.
it. I can't
So
wait to go look at that.
yeah, you should. So, but to answer your question, actually, I wasn't drawn to this book at all. This was like the equivalent of a blind date book for me.
Ah,
Um, this was so I had mentioned in maybe our first episode or second episode that of this season that the book that I read, which I've already forgotten what it's called because that's how much I liked it. Um, the
oh
one,
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
woo-woo
Add
one
more
with the
ing.
girl. Yeah,
Add
Add
more
More Ink.
ing.
So both of that book and this book came to me from one of our clients and friends who was like doing a book purge, which again, I don't
Ah,
understand these words, book purge.
yeah,
That doesn't
it makes no sense.
I don't get it. But
Okay.
anyway, she was doing that and I had no idea what books she had. She was just like, "Hey, does anybody need any or want any books?" And I knew that they were like business/personal development. So I just was like, me, I'll take them. And this was the other one. So it was like
Oh.
total blind date with a book situation for me, which is why I think it's so interesting because obviously the first blind date in that situation was a
Didn't
total
go well.
disaster.
Yeah.
This one, total opposite for me. Like I really enjoyed it. And and this is also partly why I'm a little bit curious why you think we're gonna feel so differently about this book or have such different perspectives because like, I know that you're an introvert, obviously, but,
Yeah.
like, I am as well.
You are too. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
but I don't know if maybe, I consider myself an extroverted introvert, and
Hmm.
do you feel the same or you
Oh, about you? Yes.
No,
About
about
me?
you, yeah.
No. So, and you know what? So the way you said that this book is your blind date, it never hit your radar. For me, I seeked it out. Right. So I seeked out a book for an introverted entrepreneur. And lo and behold, that's the title. And I think that's why we're going to have kind of opposite, I don't want to say reactions, but we're going to gain different perspectives from this book. Yeah, I totally 100% know you're an introvert. And I love that about you because I feel you in my soul. I am only an extrovert when I need to be. And I think for
Same.
me, yeah. But I think for me, it was 20 years of living a mask of an extrovert in both my business and my personal life because they were both so closely connected. Like a lot of my clients became my friends, and that's who they knew me as. And they know that I'm this quiet one who would rather be in the corner reading a book by herself. But they also know that if you put me in the room with all of my friends, I am this force to be reckoned with, I guess is the word. I have a lot of energy and I can be out there. And it just always felt like a mask. I would go home after dinner with friends and I'd be like, take 2 days to recover. And where all my friends and everybody else I know who are a little bit more extroverted than they are introverted, such as yourself, I don't think it takes you 2 days to recover from going to dinner with your girlfriends.
So it
I think
it
because you
doesn't
can
but the
go
thing
ahead.
is, okay, so everything I'm hearing though from you is why I call myself an extroverted introvert.
I think so.
Because
Yeah.
in the right situations and when I need to be, whether it's, like I don't know, I would assume that you would say that because I'm comfortable doing video and all that kind of thing, that makes me extroverted. I don't know.
Mm, I
You
don't think
don't
that
see that.
does. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I don't think that does.
Okay. Because I
Um,
don't either, but like I could see the argument for it, like
yeah.
that comfort level, I guess. But yeah, I mean, in certain situations, I am the chatty one, the talkative one, which is why, and I do feel like to an extent it's, I wouldn't call it a mask. I would say, because maybe as a former slash maybe future actress, like I just see it as a character that I'm putting on. You know, it's
Right.
still me, I guess, but it's just like the more energetic me, I guess. But yeah, it takes me time to
Yeah.
rest, and I don't know about 2 days from a dinner, but it would depend on the dinner, I guess.
I guess, yeah. See, and that's very presumptuous of me to assume that of you, right? And I think it does become it's part of the myth busting of the introverts is I see,
Right.
I know you're an introvert. I know you are so good at what you do and you're so good on, I don't want to call it a mask because it isn't a mask. You are so authentically yourself when you're doing videos and you're hanging out with people and you're doing webinars and you're working and you're doing your thing. So I don't think that's a mask. I think that is truly who you are. And that's where that extroverted, introverted kind of personality comes to play. But for me, it is a mask. I'm good at it. I'm damn good at it, not gonna lie. But it just doesn't feel like who I am when I'm playing that role. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah.
So
It's interesting though. That yeah.
one of the things that she talks about in the book, and I actually just pulled it up. It's on page 3. She says the reality is that introversion inherently has nothing to do with social skills and everything to do with how a person gains or drains energy, processes the
Right.
information, and relates to the world. Now, that is the biggest myth about introversion. People think that because they assume I'm an introvert because I don't do video. That has nothing to do with it,
Oh, no, and
right?
I know that that's not why you don't do video.
Yeah.
And PS, you did promise
Yeah. We're not talking about that, right?
on the record, just saying you promised. But we'll
I
get back to
promise.
that. We'll get back to that. But no, that's exactly why I say, because I'm not usually one for labels, and especially not like
Hmm.
convoluted labels like, well, I'm not just an introvert, I'm an extroverted introvert. But
Yeah.
the reason I say that is because I know that I come across as more personable and more outgoing, but it's because I know this definition of introversion, and that, it's not about how you're perceived or even how you put yourself out there. It's about the energy. And like that's why I have that distinction for myself, because I realize that that's why people get confused when I, go into my cave, whatever, because I'm like, guys, I've been extroverted for a while, like I need a break.
I've
And
been
and
people.
it doesn't, you know what I mean? It's like it doesn't make sense to people if they don't understand that, like, I'm truly an introvert. And so being around all you people, while it gives me energy in the moment, it drains my energy in the long run.
Yes, 100%. I love that you said that, that in the moment energy. So I have this conversation with my husband all the time. And he's my husband, and God love him, but he's just not that smart about this. He fully
Is he
believes
in
that
the
I
room
am an
hearing you
extrovert.
say this?
No, I kick him out when we record. That's why we
Okay,
have so
good.
many quotable quotes about him. Um,
I love it. I was
he,
gonna say he's gonna hear one side of this conversation and be like, "What?"
he and I have had the conversation a lot, especially when I was reading this book, because I'm sitting on the couch reading this book and he's doing his thing, and I'm just, honey, yeah, what, yeah, okay, yeah, just, not even paying attention to him. And then we have the conversation. He fully believes that I am an extrovert. And I'm like, no, what makes you think that? And I tried to explain the whole, it's about the energy and it's about the exhaustion and it's about the processing of everything that's going on. And I tried to explain it to him
Yeah.
and he's like, nah, you're just an extrovert. Like it's just, you're so good with people. And, you go and you shoot a wedding or you're at an event and you just have so much energy. And I'm like, yeah, I feel the energy of the room. That's the empath of me.
Right.
Right? So when I'm in the
What
room, if the energy is vibrant and high, I'm vibrant and
you're gonna
high.
match it. Yes.
Yeah, I give what I get every time, which has gotten me in a lot of trouble, but it's also one of my best and strongest attributes, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
But I
but
do
at the
think that
end,
it's part of the myth, is this idea of, well, you're so good with people and therefore you must be an
yeah,
extrovert. Because not only is, like, I would say that my husband is really good with people. Like, you can put him into any situation and he will keep the conversation going. But
hmm
he is
hmm
100% an introvert. He's an extroverted introvert too, right?
But
And
does
like,
that make you an extroverted introvert or just,
no,
I don't
I
know,
don't think so.
human?
No,
That's
I mean
just,
it's
yeah.
human, but I mean, I think it's the energy drain of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so okay, so there's this couple that I know. It happens to be my pastor and his wife. And my pastor is 100% like extrovert. Like I don't even know if introvert exists in this man. Like he is just so fueled by being around people and social and just all of that, which honestly is a
Good for
good
his job.
quality in a in a pastor.
Yeah.
But his wife, who as anybody in the church knows has as much of a job to play as the pastor's
Mhm.
wife as the pastor, she is total opposite, like straight up introvert. However, she makes friends everywhere she goes. When I moved to Idaho, okay, I didn't know her obviously when I moved here, but when I moved here and I got to know her and then, slowly started to meet other people in the valley, just like from all different walks of life, not church people, just I met them through business or whatever. I'm not even joking. I don't know if I have met someone here who did not know her.
I love
Because
that.
everywhere she goes, she's one-on-one. She's not good with, like, group setting. Like, she can do it, but, like, it's not her thing.
See,
But, like, in the
one-on-one.
one-on-one moment, oh, man, she is all about it. She is, like, present and listening to every word you have to say, and, like, just she's one of those, and
You
that's a
can't
very
see me.
introverted quality.
You can't see me, but my arms are up. I'm like, that is her superpower. That is
Yeah,
the
and
superpower of an introvert. The
yes,
one-on-one connection, the ability to be there in the moment with the person that is
exactly.
in front of them. That is 100% the power of an introvert.
Yeah,
And that, after
and
that
and,
kind of a moment, she
Beth
doesn't, I
talks
bet you
about
she
that.
doesn't go home and be like, I'm so tired, I'm exhausted. No, she
Oh,
goes home
no,
and
she
she's
does.
wired, she's
Oh,
energy.
no. No, no, no. I think she goes home and she's exhausted.
Oh, where's
Because
the
she
one-on-one? I'm not
pours
like that.
no, no, she pours so much like, I mean, I'm not saying this is a total everybody introvert kind of situation. Like, I get drained, but not to the point where I'm like, I need a bath for the next 3 hours or whatever. But, like, she is the kind of introvert that if you are the person that she's talking to in that moment, like, she pours so much of herself into that interaction that yeah, and as far as, like, I mean, I don't know if she would use the word, but I would definitely call her an empath because she's, very in tune with and connects with people on an otherworldly level. I mean, she's just so in that moment. And if you were to ask like anybody that knows her, they would say the same. Like this is just who she is. So, but that doesn't mean, I mean, think about it. Like, yeah, it's her superpower, but like powers get drained.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you have that much to put into something, and especially if, you're putting that into I'm not saying she does this with every single individual she comes across, but if you do that with a lot of people, how could that not drain you?
That would totally drain you. And that's like when you're right, like she's in essentially, I'm going to make an assumption. I'm not part of a church and I don't know a pastor's wife or their role, but I would assume that is essentially part of her job, her, who she is. So
Yeah.
she puts all of that into every person she meets, and especially in that setting. Now, that would be exhausting at the end of the day. But I wonder
Yeah.
if she goes into a one-on-one with somebody, just dinner, or like, you know what, a good example for myself is I went last night and I took a friend to a show, and she is very much an introvert as well. It was the opening night of a big, huge production. And so there was dinner and dancing and wine and everything after the performance. But before and during the intermission and after the performance, she and I actually left the theater and we went and we connected and chat and talked and enjoyed our time together, basically in the halls, away from everybody else, away from all that other stuff where, you bump into someone and you have to put on that, hi, how are you? Are you enjoying the show kind of thing? But we did that. And then when I came home at midnight, 4 hours past my bedtime, I crawled into bed and sounds like, how was your night? And I couldn't stop. I was energized. And I think it was
Yeah.
because I had that connection. I had that one-on-one, and it was wonderful.
Well, I think it's
Now
also
I'm
because you guys intentionally took space.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
and I
maybe
think
you
that
did it together, but you didn't try to fight the massive energy. Because I mean, I've been at many opening nights. It's a high energy situation,
oh, so
and you
much.
guys gave yourself the quiet and the space, and so I'm sure that
Exactly.
helped.
Yeah, and I've been to many opening nights where I have stayed and I've mingled and I've, hung out with the cast and directors and done all of the things you do on an opening night event. And
Right.
I've gone home and literally, if Sal wasn't, the one driving, I'd be asleep in the car. I
Right.
crash. And it's because
Because
I'm
it's a lot of energy.
it's so much energy. So I
Yeah.
think it really depends on the situation as it does with everything in life, right?
Yeah.
But back to the book.
Oh yeah, there's a book we're talking
There's
about.
a book.
So somehow we
What?
said we weren't gonna get off on tangents, but
Yeah, we tried.
okay.
We're still on a tangent. We're still doing
No,
really
no,
good. I think we're still on
it's
it.
topical. It's topical. Yes.
Because one of the things here that I noticed in my notes is page one. Page one of the book. I have highlighted like 4 times. I have a sticky note and exclamation points. The words networking is exhausting. Like right out of the gate, she doesn't ease you into the fact that, you know, being an introvert isn't exhausting and that networking isn't a part of it. We always perform, and that's when we don't take space for the quiet time,
Yeah.
right? We're pushing through the room that we think we need to be in as a extroverted entrepreneur, that because that's where everybody seems to think the success is. And I
Yeah.
love that this book lets you know that that isn't 100% where the success is. The success
Well,
is where you put it.
yes and no. And so this is kind of why it's interesting because when she first started talking about networking, and I don't know if I don't think I made any notes specifically about that, but I remember it because,
Mhm.
it did connect with me, especially because here in this valley, there's a lot of business networking opportunities. And many of them are very like party vibe, which is just
Mhm.
not my thing. I mean, I
Yeah.
anytime I force myself to go to one of those things, I'm such a wallflower. I don't meet anyone because I feel like everybody is either they already all know each other, it's they're just like chatting, or I feel like I have to like break into it. Like it almost makes me okay. This is maybe gonna date me a little bit, but I think back to like elementary school and the playground and double dutch. Okay,
Oh,
is it just me? Okay, good. So I feel like that feeling when you're like waiting for your opportunity to get into the jump, like that's
mhm.
the entire networking event for me.
Oh, that anticipation.
Yeah,
That
I'm just like,
yeah.
can I get in here? No, okay, and
Yeah.
so it's just that's how it feels, and I feel like I never get anywhere because I think that, and maybe I'm not gonna try to talk shade about anyone who feels like they're really good in these situations, but this is my perception that the people who really thrive in those types of environments are the people who really like to talk about themselves. And I'm not at all like saying that's bad because look, as a business owner, if you're trying to sell yourself and you're selling
Yeah.
your business, you have to talk about yourself. So I
Yep.
understand. But not everybody likes it.
Yeah.
And I am not one of those people. Like I will jump into the conversation if I feel like I can contribute to it,
Yeah.
but like not to just be like, "Hey, this is what I do." It's not my thing. And so when I saw that Beth was going to talk about networking as an introvert, I was like, "Okay, she's going to give us the out." Like she's
The
totally going to
tools.
give us the out and be like,
Yeah.
"You don't have to do networking because it's just not in your wheelhouse." And she didn't.
No, she did not, and I love that. She
I
gave us the
loved it too.
tools.
She gave us the
Yeah.
tools.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, "Okay, so it was kind of perfect because yeah, I wanted the out. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted her to be like, you don't have to do that. There are other ways. But no, she was like, no, no, this is actually really important to your business. And I was like, Beth, you're supposed to be helping us here. What is going on? But she absolutely helped because
Yeah.
she basically was talking about taking the approach that my pastor's wife takes, right? It's not
Mhm.
about trying to talk to everybody in
Connect.
the room. It's
Yes.
about if you walk away with one person that you connected with, then it is a success. And honestly,
Mm.
probably a bigger success than if you manage to talk to multiple people because you're not going to remember any of that and they're not going to remember you. But if you
Absolutely.
connect with one person, like really connect with them, then yeah, they're more likely to remember you. And that's a real networking opportunity. And I was like, okay. I mean, you still have to go into the scary, like high energy room,
You do.
but like from a totally different perspective.
I think when you have that different perspective that she kind of guides you through in that section of the book, it makes it a lot easier. There are a couple things in there that she said in a different section of the book, not where she talks about networking, but she talks about events, which honestly, I don't see a difference. I wrestled with some advice that she gave, but for the most part, it's connect with people, get rid of the small talk, ask them questions. Because, like you said, talking about myself isn't something that I'm going to do. It just is, I'm not comfortable with it. So ask them the questions, get them talking about themselves, because chances are you're not going to be talking to somebody who is as much of an introvert as you are. And if you want to, you know where to find them. They're the ones in the corner looking on their phones. So there's a connection there
That's
that
right.
you can make, right? Like you
Right.
can, because that would be me.
Throw
And
them
that's
the
what I've done.
lifeline. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've done
Yeah.
that so many times, knowing full well I'm going to be the one hiding in the corner. I've seeked out that person in the corner. And this was
Yeah.
long before Beth's book, but now
Well, it was
that I
natural inclination for you to do that.
exactly. And the book has helped. I loved some of her tips, but some of them I did not like I mentioned.
Yeah,
Lit-
yeah, I was gonna ask about that. So what did you not jive with that she said?
Well, one of the things that she said was to basically take on the mental role of host in social situations and trying to make others feel comfortable. And I mean, I get it. It's good advice. And that is something I would do to the person in the corner. But also, I'm not there to play host. I'm not showing up as who I actually am. And it never it felt like just another mask. And actually, I put that in the margins. I put, isn't this just another mask? Because on the very next page, like literally the paragraph beside it on the other page, in bold letters, it says, be yourself and don't think you need to be outgoing. And I was like, okay, we got opposing forces here. You're telling me to play the role of host, but be myself. Well, playing the role of host is not something I do often enough to it not be a mask for me.
But
So
I don't think she meant it. Okay, so maybe you're right. Maybe we are gonna have different opinions. So I hear what you're saying 100%, but I think you're taking her comment about playing the host at face value, and I'm not sure if that's how she meant it, or at least it's not how I took it. Because I do remember her saying that, and I remember thinking, like, I'm not really sure how I feel about that because, yeah, I shouldn't. Why would I be the host here? Like, this is not my situation. But I think what she's getting at with that is if you're thinking of yourself as the host, it doesn't mean that you need to make everybody and their mother feel comfortable and cater to them and whatever. I don't think she means that at all. I think what she's saying is it takes your attention off of how you're feeling and how you're feeling uncomfortable and
yeah.
whatever, and thinking about maybe that person in the corner and how can I make that person feel more comfortable, which then in turn makes you feel more comfortable because now you've forgotten that you were uncomfortable. That's
I
how
see that.
I took that.
But if there's no one else in the corner, and if
Oh,
I'm the
there's
only one in
always
the
someone else
corner,
in the
there's a
corner. There's
yeah,
always
that's
someone else
true.
in the
That's
corner.
true. I just took it as it felt maybe it was a little two-faced value because I do like that way of looking at it, but it did feel to me when I took it right out of the gate was you can't tell me to pretend to be something and then tell me in the next paragraph to don't pretend to be something. And that's just kind of where I got that. And I honestly, that's probably one of the very few and the only one that really hit home to me up in the book that I didn't feel was gold. Like this book it's very dry.
Pretty gold. Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah,
very dry. It's
very dry.
very much a how to
Yeah.
dry,
Yeah.
but
It's a long
I
read.
wanted it to be
But it
in
is
this
so
case.
good. It's golden.
Yeah.
Yeah, it and that was probably the only thing in the book that didn't resonate with me is the playing host kind of comment. The whole people in, energy out concept. I've I've basically taken that on as my mantra. So and that's why when I went out last night with my girlfriend, I'm like, this is just us. If you want to
Yeah.
go mingle, great. And you can, I'm not going to stop you. I will be your tag along. But this was my house that we were in to one of these events with, I have a few friends where I could go to, and I'd be following them around. Even though it's my house, these are my people, I'd be following her around because she's just that person. But that's not who I am, and that's not who I went with yesterday. So we made a strong point to make sure that we were comfortable, we were happy, and we connected. And it was honestly, it was one of the best nights I've had in a long time. And the show was amazing. Of course, it was so great.
Which of course, super high energy, which we can't really, I mean, I don't know if you're intentionally not saying what it is, but
no, if I'm allowed
like,
to.
yeah, I mean, I thought that maybe that was why you weren't saying anything. So we'll just leave it at that. But like, I think the fact that you guys made a point, I mean, and I'm assuming you didn't like talk about it. It just, there was an intention
No. Yeah.
to do
Just
that.
happened.
But yeah, but because you intentionally took that space, I think that's exactly why you came home with energy, because you protected your energy while you were in a high energy environment. And like, that makes a big difference. I mean, you weren't alone, but you were intentionally getting out of the situations to give yourself, you know, the space to breathe and whatever. And it makes a big difference.
And honestly, if it wasn't for books like this one and Susan Cain, me actually reading these books and realizing, you know, I'm not alone in this, and that there is a space for me, and it's okay to protect my own energy. And because I never grew up that way, and I never ran my first few businesses like that. Like even you wouldn't even know it. So for the production we just did, I really don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I'm going to put some clues out there. So in this production, somebody's trying to get into Harvard, and when those stiffs are like, I don't know if we should let her in. I mean, she gave us headshots right out of the gate. Like for me, I took the headshots of the actress that was the lead role getting into Harvard. And so when I went last night and they threw these headshots up and showed the audience, these are pictures I took. These are headshots.
They were amazing, by the way, at least what I saw.
Thank you. It was like this thing of pride. But when I took those photos, I have a camera in my hand. Sal's my husband says I have this Jekyll and Hyde personality. You give me a camera and I'm a different person. You would never guess that I need to go home and curl up in a corner and cry after being at a huge event, because I'm just like, do this, let's do that, let's go here, let's do this. And I'm just like, I'm all over the place. I'm out of there, out of that headspace. It's a different person and a different perspective.
Okay, but I hear that, and you know what I immediately hear? And this is because I'm used to being the person on the other side of that camera, having to have headshots taken when I am very not comfortable having my picture taken. You are putting yourself in the role of host.
Oh, that's gross. Why would you throw that at me like that?
No, I'm being serious.
True.
That is exactly what she's and I'm not saying that you have to be all super high energy, but in that situation, the host needs to be high energy, because now in this particular photo shoot, it's probably not true, because I mean, I'm just making the assumption of the person that would play this role. Maybe that's an unfair assumption, but like, you probably didn't need to bring the energy as much in that situation. But in most situations, the person behind the camera, especially when it's like a wedding, these are not professional people at getting their photo taken. You know what I'm saying? They are super awkward and uncomfortable. And even though like I have gotten headshots for, you know, over a decade, I was awkward and uncomfortable in our wedding photos, because you just don't know what you're supposed to do, and your head's in like 10 million other places. And, you know, so in that moment, you playing the host and caring more about the comfort level of the other people in the space. That's how I read what Beth was saying about in networking events, is that you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I take it. And that's why I feel like you were taking it harshly, because when you're playing host, you feel like you have to be high energy. But I don't think that's always true. I think it depends on the situation.
I think you're right. I think I'm going to have to reread that entire chapter and read it from this perspective, because I never thought of it that way. I always thought it was like the Jekyll and Hyde personality that I have, that it's just, I have a split personality, which is a myth of an introverted person. They have this split personality. Oh my gosh, I need to reread the book.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
That might be another hint. But so I'm going to switch gears just a little bit for a second, because I feel like we could go on about, I mean, this is one of those topics we could probably talk
Yeah.
about for a long time. So this, I
Absolutely.
could see a bonus episode happening around this, but not even just this book, but just like this concept in general. But I was looking at my notes, and like a lot of what I was talking about here is similar to things that we're talking about. And like my first sentence in my notes was, I felt so seen while reading this
Oh,
book, because I
yes.
absolutely did. And it made me feel like, oh, that's not just me being a weirdo. That's like a lot of people feel that way. Okay, cool. So that was really
Yeah.
cool. And I loved, like, there were a lot of things, and I know this happens a lot when you're reading, especially business development books, because I mean, let's be totally honest here. Nobody is reinventing the wheel or coming up with some brand new idea, but
Yeah.
how they, how they spell it out, how they talk about it hits you in a different way. And so there were a lot of things that she was talking about that were echoing things that Simon Sinek has said or things that
Mhm.
Pat Flynn has said. And I really liked the introverted perspective on those things because, Pat Flynn, I'm guessing he feels like an extrovert to me. I could be totally wrong, but he feels like he is.
Yeah.
Simon, I'm not sure. He might be the other way around. He might be more
He's
like
hard to
me.
read. I love that guy.
He is very hard to read, but I feel like he might be more that extroverted introvert. He kind of has a little bit of that energy to me. But
Yeah.
they don't talk about their concepts from any perspective of that regard. So
Yeah.
her talking about the same types of things, like understanding your why, but also being able to clearly communicate it, and how to guide your quote fans from being curious about what you're talking about to being convinced and wanting to jump in, but how to do that as an introvert.
Without
That
yelling. Yeah, absolutely.
really got my attention because, yeah, because I feel like otherwise, not that Simon or Pat are specifically saying like, oh, you've got to be the loudest one in the room, because they're not,
No.
but sometimes their approaches feel that way to me.
It makes you think that that's the next step, right?
Yeah. Like you
Sometimes,
have to
not all the
break through the
time.
noise. So how do you break through the
Yeah.
noise? Well, you get louder. That
And that's
seems logical.
and that's the typical advice that you get from the majority of the business books out there. And even majority of the empowered personal, what's the word I'm looking for? Personal empowerment books and personal development books. They always
Yeah.
have that break through the noise kind of thing. But yeah, Beth really wants you to hone in on being yourself, and that as from that introverted perspective, I guess, being yourself doesn't mean that you're not professional. It's actually a power move to be the strong, quiet one.
Mm,
And I think she really puts that out there and gives you permission, I guess, in a sense
100%. Yeah.
that you don't have to be what everybody else is. You can be the quiet one. And this is how you can live in an extroverted world as an introvert. And that's what this book did for me as well. It gives you the guide you needed. And I thought it was kind of great. I mean, yeah, I loved this book. I really
Yeah.
did like it. A lot of the fake it till you make it kind of mishmash that's out there. She's like, that doesn't get you the attention you need, and it won't build a business that sustains you. I think, what was the quote? I wrote it down. Um, Build a business that feeds your soul.
Mm,
And that, after all the other books I've read this year, it really it kicked me in the gut, because creating all the businesses the way I thought I was supposed to, and now finally building one that actually fits me. I'm still shooting. I'm still doing all that crazy, you know, hosting that we've mentioned before.
yes. Yes.
But everything else about my direction is so much quieter. It's so much who I am. And
Yeah.
it
Well, and I've
just
seen the
feels
shift.
so
Like,
much better.
I mean, you've made a lot of shifts since we read this book, but I think it was already kind of mentally starting for you prior to that. But
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, just from just knowing the timeline of how all this went down, I feel like this book, maybe to your point, gave you kind of permission to go in on
Hmm.
what you were already kind of wanting to do.
I think so.
And
Yeah.
and I think that's fantastic. I mean, like,
Yeah.
why build a business that's going to exhaust you?
Exactly. I was spending more energy trying to appear outgoing and available and this magnetic personality. And the truth is, it was exhausting.
Yeah.
She actually says it in the book that your energy is your most precious asset. So you must protect it. So now I am 100% more intentional. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm careful. I'm a lot more careful of how I spend it. And I think that this book for me definitely was that stepping stone in a direction I was already going. You're right. It's a direction I
Yeah.
was already going, but this was just, it found me at the right time. And we've talked about this before. I am rambling now, but we've talked
No,
about
not
this
at all.
before where finding the
These
right book
books
at the
find
right
you.
time just
Yep.
gets to you, right? And I think
Yeah.
that this one, even though it was ages ago, it was the right book at the right time. And again, I will be reading it again because I want to relook at that hosting comment. I know exactly what page it's on, so I'm just going to go back to that chapter and go from there and see.
Yeah.
That's
I
me.
do have to bring up, I know we're like probably getting to the point where we need to start thinking about winding this episode down, but
Yeah.
there was one thing that I made a note that I was like, have to talk about this because I found it so like perspective shifting. Like I went into like most of what I read in this book was just validating, right? It
Mm-hmm.
was just making me feel like, oh, okay, I'm not insane. Like this is how I feel because other people do too. So I'm not just imagining it or whatever. But this was a total perspective shift, kind of like, and I don't remember if we've talked about this at all. I think we did when we were talking about the let them theory. Did we talk about the let them theory?
We
Oh gosh.
not, you know what? We've talked about it together. We've never
But
done an
not on an
episode on it,
episode.
but we
Okay.
should
We
because
should
yeah,
because I come back to it way too often. But there's
yeah,
there's a section in the let them theory where she completely changed my perspective on comparison, and that's all I'm going to say about that because you and I have talked about it, I think.
yeah.
And I think I talked about it on my podcast, but we'll have to talk
Okay.
about it here in the future. But
Yeah.
this was one of those kind of moments to me because and I don't remember the like the context of the whole thing, but she was talking about the overall concept was about those things that annoy you in other business owners. And if you're looking at your book, it's page 123 where I noted this down. But the concept of that the things that annoy you might be trying to teach you something. Now, I've always thought, oh yeah, they're teaching me what not to do because it's annoying, right? Like that's
Yep.
always been my perspective. And I always kind of mentally go to the like super salesy, really in your face kind of, especially like on social media where they're just like right in your face about it all the time. That annoys the crap out of me. And I've always thought, well, okay, I'm just definitely not going to be like that. And this is just showing me why I should not be like that because it's annoying.
Right.
Well, I mean, I still think that's true to a point, but she
But
called it, and I put this phrase in quotes, so it must be direct from the book. She calls it a homeopathic dose.
mm-hmm.
And what she said was her idea was that when you're annoyed by something, like for me, super aggressive, salesy, whatever, it's likely that on some level, I actually admire it. Now, when I read that, I was like, wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you could not be more wrong, Beth. I'm sorry.
But
Then I kept reading and I kept, and I don't remember exactly what she said after that like switched my perspective. But what I wrote in my notes was, I see her point, which I was like, begrudgingly saw her point. But the thing is, while I don't like the super aggressive tactics, their clarity and directness of message are things that I need more of. And I have felt that way for a long time.
But it's also something you do admire because when you do have somebody that isn't maybe aggressive and in your face, but is very clear on what they're providing and their message,
well, that
you
I
admire that.
Yes.
Exactly.
But the problem is it's hidden by the aggressive, obnoxious, salesy stuff. And so
Right.
I wasn't recognizing the part of it that I actually did admire from it, right?
Yeah.
I was so turned off by the approach or the I guess approach is the right word. So then it was like, okay, well, so then how, like, it's not that I need to become more aggressive and salesy, which has been always my thought, what I was fighting up against, I guess. Every time I read a book or whatever, I saw somebody that was successful and I was like, but I don't want to turn into that. And I've had times where I did sort of turn into that because I was trying to copy someone else's strategy or whatever. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
But like it's not, their success is not because they're aggressive and salesy, it's because they're clear and direct. They're just attracting the people who aren't irritated by the aggressive and salesiness. My problem is that, or was, because I feel like I've shifted quite a bit of this since reading this, is that I'm not attracting the people who like the aggressive salesy. Awesome, because I don't want them. But I'm not clear enough with the people that I am attracting. And so they don't really understand what I'm offering. And the
Yes.
more that I have shifted that, and it's funny because I didn't realize this because we weren't like sure when we were going to record this episode. But
Yeah.
just the other day on LinkedIn, I saw a former colleague of mine who has started his own consulting business in the last 6 months or something like that. And he was doing some post of just talking about how hard it is to basically convince, the type of client that he's going for that they need his services, and man, have we all been there. And for a moment I had to make a comment on his post about it because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't feel that way anymore. And I have always felt that way.
Clarity. It's a beautiful thing.
Clarity, and I realized it was because I shifted my focus to this educational marketing, which feels so much more aligned with me and allows me to be clear and direct because I don't feel like I'm selling something. But
Yes.
as a result, I'm selling something. And I'm not convincing anybody. Random people are reaching out to me now. Like this concept of a lead funnel, it's filling itself now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I got that clarity and I learned how to be direct in my introverted way.
And that's what she says in the book. Like she talks
Yeah.
about finding what annoys you and realizing that there's something about that annoyance that is admirable.
Yeah.
And so you need
And
to
did
make
you
it
have
your
the
own.
same
And that's
reaction?
exactly what you did.
But did you have the same reaction when you first read that? Like, Beth, come on.
I
now.
did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
So I was like,
Because
no, I don't.
get
I
out of my
don't
face.
admire that aggressive but yeah,
It's that
I guess I
perspective
did.
shift.
Yeah.
It's that shift. And what I love is for you, I love that it connected and it subconsciously, you just started making that shift. And it took until the shift was made for you to go, holy crap, I've already done it. And
Right.
like that, she was right. And I love that because hindsight is 2020. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, and we don't always want to hear the truth that we need to hear. You know what I mean? We're going to resist
9 out
it
of 10 times.
at first. But and I even in the moment when I read it, when I first read it, I was like, no. But then as I kept reading the paragraph, I was like, okay, fine. I see your point. But I don't think I totally realized that I was doing something about it.
Yeah.
Until the other day when I saw that LinkedIn post and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I did something about it because I don't feel that way anymore. And I think it was just understanding what it was that I actually admired and what it was that I was missing. I had this misconception that what I was missing was the really outgoing, aggressive personality.
Yeah.
And that wasn't it at all. I mean, and that's fine for the people that's who they are. That's great. I don't like it, but that's great because obviously plenty of people respond to it. And that's what I always felt like I was missing. But no, it was never that. It was always the clarity and just being direct to the point where now, I don't have to say, hey, I'm a Trello consultant. I literally have people reach out to me and be like, hey, do you offer one-on-one sessions? I'm like, I sure do.
Yeah.
I don't even say it in my videos and they ask. And that I think feels so good for me to feel like I don't have to have that personality. I still have to be, I don't want to say salesy, but I still have to sell myself. I'm just doing it in a less high pressure environment.
And that's how you build that business that aligns with you and your soul, right? That's how you build a business that aligns with who you are. And isn't that the goal? As much as some of us have the goal to own the private jet, if that's what aligns with you and you're going to be out there and just go, 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 if that is what aligns with you and your soul, dude, all the power to you. We are not going to connect at the next networking event because you will suck the life right out of me just because
You'll be in the corner with the other wallflowers.
Yeah. That's where you're going to find me. And I think the biggest takeaway for this book for me wasn't only about introversion and it wasn't only about being a business owner. It was about that alignment of being both. And I guess that's right in the title, right? It was about accepting all of that, looking at a different perspective, and realizing that, yeah, we do actually live in a very extroverted world. We 100, I don't
We
change my mind.
do,
There's
but
no
like there's a
way.
lot of introverts in that world. Like
So
a
many
lot.
of us out there. There's a
Yeah.
lot, but that's the thing is a lot of us, sorry, my phone is going crazy. A lot of us don't realize that we don't have to fake it till we make it. I hate that
Yes.
term
Oh, I
so
so
much.
hate that. I hate that term
Yeah.
too.
I think you can be yourself, you can be successful. You don't need to be someone you're not. If you are an introvert, it's going to help you grow without pretending.
Not if you're not an introvert. I
Yes, it's going to
actually
help you
almost
understand.
more recommend that you read this book.
Yeah, because then you can really get it, right? Like there's
Mm-hmm.
so much in there for every walk of life. Even though it talks a lot about introversion, it really gives you that new perspective on a lot of things.
Because you need to understand, like, I'm sorry, but if you're one of the true extroverts in the room, it helps you understand all those people who are standing against the wall.
yeah.
And like you feel like, and I know this is true because it's been told to me in the past, you feel like because we're standing off to the side or we're only like talking to the person we came with, which defeats the whole purpose of networking, I'm well aware. But like you think that we're rude
Mm.
or,
They
you
do
know, that
sometimes, yeah.
yeah, or that you're just like, you know, that I don't know if they think that we're like too good to talk to them or whatever, but they definitely think that we're rude or even that we're shy, which it's not really shy.
It,
And I
you,
think
you want
that's the difference. That's one of those myths that I don't think Beth really talked about that necessarily, but
not that I
being
recall.
an introvert is not the same thing as being shy.
Not at all. Not even close. And
Totally
I
different.
think there's a lot of, and that's the myth busting, right, of this book. There's a lot of judgment out there about those of us in the corner. Not saying everybody is judgy, not saying everybody just looks at us in the corner and goes, "Pff, she thinks she's better than me, or she's so shy, or whatever. But there's a lot. And that's because of the world we live in. It's expected when you go to a networking event that you got that hello, I'm on sticker on your chest and you're ready to just go and meet and mingle. And no, not all of us are going there for that. Some of us are going there to find that one person to connect with. Whether it's that one
Some of
person
us
is
were
going to,
dragged there by somebody who wants to be that way.
9 out of 10 times. Like you said at the beginning, if you connect with that one person does not have to be a potential client. It does not have to
Oh,
be a potential collaborator, but it can turn out to be your next best business bestie who you build a podcast with. And,
absolutely.
now you have a life together. You never know. And that's what it's about as an introvert is those connections,
That's
right?
right. We were the wallflowers in that group, kind of. Now
We
that you say
totally
it
were.
like that, I don't think I've
Yeah.
really thought of it that way, but yeah, we totally were.
We're talking about a Facebook group here 100 years ago. And yeah, we read the comments and every once in a while would put in our quiet little piece of we were even introverted on the internet. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, because it just, I mean,
It
I'm
didn't feel
sorry, but
right.
social media is so noisy. And
Yeah.
if you want to be heard at all, I mean, especially back then in a Facebook group that was hopping, you had to be
Yeah.
screaming.
You had
You
to be
had to be
all the time.
posting like every other day. You had to be commenting on everybody's comment on everybody's post. And it's like
Yep.
even that
And
sucks the energy out of me. Like,
and
and
that
that's
is
not even face to face.
no, and that is still some of the business advice out there.
I
Like,
know.
yes, you need to be engaging and you need to engage with your audience, but you don't need to engage with every last person all the freaking time. And yeah,
No, it's all
anyways,
about the
that's
handshakes, right, Pat Flynn? It's
yeah.
all about the handshakes. Respond to the handshakes. I'm saying, you remember that from Superfans, right?
I do. I do. It
Okay.
is 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's kind of intentionally wrap this up because again, we
Yeah.
could probably talk about this for hours and hours, but like awesome book. I think
Yeah.
that you and I definitely, I mean, of course we're going to come at certain things from different perspectives because we're different people, but I ultimately think we got relatively
Yeah.
similar things out of it, just in a little bit different areas. You know, we both kind of got that, I don't want to say permission necessarily for me, but it like shifted my approach to getting through the noise, I guess.
Yeah.
And like for you, you had the permission to uh, like actually show up the way you wanted to, which is exactly what we should be doing. So I think we both got similar things out of it. And I
Absolutely.
definitely think, I mean, we made notes about different things, I'm sure, but I don't think we disagree so much in our perspectives on this at all.
I don't think so. And I do love that we both took different, well, the word is perspectives from different pieces of the content that, and then even after the conversation, I would 100% recommend this book for so many people because you're not less professional if you're quiet and an introvert. Actually, you're a bit more powerful if you know it and you own it. And
Yep.
that's what I think I took from the book for sure.
The best way that you can support the podcast is to make sure that you are subscribed wherever you're listening and leave us a review. That's the only way that new people will find and join our community. The Success Through Community podcast is hosted by Kelly Gable and Jolene Mills, and all episodes are solely the opinions of the respective host. Our sound production and editing is done by Kelly Gable, and all visual creative, including our logo, was created by Jolene Mills. The Success Through Community podcast is an STC production.